The adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting of January the 8th, 2014.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? And carried. We have one delegation this evening, and I guess there will be a video presentation. And if we could have the Ahmadiyya Muslim delegation come forward, please.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Omer, and this is Basil, and we are from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community from the Calgary branch. And our purpose here today is three things. We'd like to introduce ourselves to the mayor and city council, and also we're interested in building stronger relationships with the town of Strathmore. And the last thing that we wanted to talk about today was we'd like to invite everyone here to our mosque in Calgary, which is the largest mosque in all of Canada. And I'll go over some of that during my presentation. Just to introduce who we are, we as Muslims, we believe in Allah. And when we say Allah, we believe in a God that is very powerful, very unique. We believe in the Prophet Muhammad as his prophet. We believe in the Holy Quran as our religious scripture. One of the important things about our community that distinguishes us from different Muslim communities is that our identity is that we are Muslims who believe in the Messiah. And just a little background about that. There are many different Muslim communities around the world who are waiting for the coming of a Messiah. They believe the literal fulfillment of such prophecies. Our take on that is that it is a metaphorical way of fulfillment for that prophecy. And this is Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. He is the founder of our community. He passed away in 1908. And our community was founded in 1889. It's established in over 200 countries. And our members exceed in the tens of millions. Another unique thing about our community is that we have a spiritual successorship after the death of the founder of our community. And that usually helps us in all being united under one leadership. Our mission is to revive the true Islamic values. And our motto is love for all, hatred for none. I wanted to quote a portion of a verse from the Holy Quran. We as Muslims, a big part of our belief is not just to worship God, but also serve mankind. And there's a verse that God talks about, show kindness to parents and to kindred and orphans and the needy and to the neighbor. And this is part of our beliefs. And we don't just like to preach these things, but we actually like to put it into practice. And the Prophet Muhammad said that one who is not grateful to mankind is not grateful to God or Allah. And then there's a quote from the founder of our community. He says, sympathy for all mankind is a moral obligation and a duty. That religion is no religion which does not inculcate sympathy, nor does that man deserve to be called a man who does not have sympathy in him. Also, as I had mentioned, that we do a lot of public services, our community. This is an introduction to Humanity First. This is our community initiated this charity group. It's international. We have it established in 40 countries within 6 continents. And one of the unique things about this charity is that 93% of the funds go straight to the projects. And one of the reasons behind that is that we're very good at getting volunteers from our community members around the world. I don't know if you recognize, but that's me in the right. This is part of the floods that happened in Calgary. So we were out helping out clean up basements in people's houses, part of Humanity First efforts. We do a lot of blood drives. We just had one recently on Boxing Day, which was a big challenge for us to get people to come out. And we were very successful in getting about 144 people to participate. And from that, we were able to get 107 units of blood. So we have very good relationships with the Canadian Blood Services. And we have something called the World Religions Conferences. And that's also one of the things we would like to initiate within the town of Strathmore. The way this works is that our community, we organize these WRCs, or World Religion Conferences, and we get leaders from different faith groups to come out, and a topic is given to all religious leaders, and they get an opportunity to talk about that topic according to their religious scriptures. And one of the main rules in this dialogue is that you cannot speak against any other community or religion, and we've been doing it for the past over 100 years. And it's been very successful. It's always been peaceful, and it's a good way to remove misconceptions people have of different faith groups and religions. And this picture over here is actually one of the biggest ones we do at the University of Waterloo in Ontario. And we just recently had one in Mount Royal University in Calgary and Olds, Alberta. And we have a pretty big one in Red Deer also. So this is one of the initiatives our community also takes. And Holy Quran exhibitions, unfortunately, with a lot of sometimes negative image people might have of our religion, we do a lot of these public programs in libraries, universities, and public areas. And this is actually one of the things that I wanted to also invite everyone to, which we're having at the public library in Strathmore on February 6th, 7th, and 8th. And one of the reasons we do this is I want people to know that we as Muslims are not here to harm or hurt other people. It's our duty to, be kind to our neighbors, and I also quoted that verse from the Holy Quran. So this is part of our initiative to put those teachings into practice, that if people have misconceptions, we would like to remove those. So these are some more pictures of Quran exhibitions, and we do this around the world. And as part of people, learning more about our religion, just to remove misconceptions, we do a lot of mosque tours. And these are some of the mosques we've built. The one on the left is our mosque in Vaughan, Ontario. The one on the top right is the one in Calgary, which is the largest mosque in Canada. And recently, this bottom left, this was opened in Delta, BC. And the one down there is close to the Washington, D.C. area. So we have a lot of groups that come in. Even last night, we had a big group from a Bible college come in, and we share, we have friendly dialogue, nothing in a debating type of way that we're right, you're wrong, nothing like that, but we learn from each other. And we usually do lunch and dinner with people, and if they have any controversial questions about our religion, we love for people to ask us that so those things can be cleared up. We do a lot of marathons to get other communities also involved. This is one that we do called Run for Calgary, and it's to help raise money for hospitals, community centers, and public projects. And the recent one we did, it was to raise money for the Alberta Children's Hospital. And we're big on education. We have a lot of schools around the world. We give out a lot of scholarships. I don't know if you can see, but that's me and Sierra Leone. We went there to help out and get some experience, and we were able to raise a lot of money for some of the schools that needed help financially. And this is also part of our belief. We're big on education. The Prophet Muhammad has encouraged it highly too. Love of homeland is also part of our faith. Our community is big that we as Muslims are also Canadian. And the one teaching of the Prophet Muhammad is that loyalty to your country is part of faith. And we don't just preach that, but we believe in that. And in this picture, you see the spiritual head of our worldwide community. We had the honor of having the Prime Minister come to our mosque for its opening. And I believe one of the reasons he did that was because throughout the years, we've been able to prove to the government that we stand by them, and we truly have love for Canada as our country. And we celebrate Canada Day. These pictures are actually pictures from across the street from our mosque. We have the mayor. The mayor comes out to it every year. It's one of the main events he attends. And one thing I really like is that you'll see that as Muslim girls, they're Canadians. They're singing the national anthem, but that doesn't mean they have to get rid of their religious values. So you see them covered in their religious scarves, and just being Canadian is, we're proud of it. And this is actually a huge barbecue that we give out free burgers and food for the public, and we usually get around 5,000 and 10,000 people to come out to it. And some more pictures from the barbecues. We also have very good relationships with the Calgary Police Services. So at the end of this presentation, this is an open invitation for all of you to, if you ever pass by Calgary, to visit our mosque, the Noor Mosque. It's in Northeast Calgary. The other thing we wanted to invite you to is the Holy Quran exhibition, which is on February 6th, 7th, and 8th. And on February 8th, it's a Saturday, from 3 o'clock to 4:30. We have a public question and answer session for the public if they have, whether it's controversial questions, any types of questions about our religion. If we can help remove misconceptions people have of our religion, of our faith, we'd be, we'd feel like we fulfilled our goal at this exhibition. And with that, if anyone has any questions or comments, please, you're more than welcome to ask me. I'll try my best.
Any questions?
Well, not a question. I just want to thank you for the presentation. I found this fabulous, really, really interesting. It's you guys obviously do a lot, so thanks for sharing that with us.
Okay.
Comments? Questions? No?
I echo Councillor Sobel's comments, and I've been to your mosque and to the barbecue, and
Okay.
and it's amazing, and I know what you do, and we welcome you to our community, and hope that you can convince people that Strathmore would welcome community with your community, with our community with open arms. And I really thank you for your initiative in coming to the Strathmore Public Library. It's a kindness to our community, and I really thank you for it. It's wonderful, and the spirit that you're coming is really appreciated, and that you took the initiative to do it. I really appreciate it.
Actually, I'm sorry. I do have a question, Your Worship. And thank you. I agree completely. In regards to the World Conferences, so what would the next step be? Would that be something that you folks would be initiating, or is there something that?
We've come to Strathmore we came a few weeks ago, and we had a meeting with Reverend Pamela, I believe,
Yeah.
from the United Church. And I believe she's new here. So we had done a similar program like that at that church. And we're trying our best to partner up with the church or any other religious group to try to host that. And we also offered that church that if it's difficult for them to organize, we can take the initiative to organize it, and other religious communities can follow that pattern. And if not, then they're more than welcome to come to similar programs we hold in Calgary. So we are working on that, and we're hoping doors open, because I've been to tons of these conferences, and very interesting.
I think they would be.
We have a son and a son-in-law who are Muslim,
Okay.
and so we've been very welcomed into your community, and really appreciative of it. And I think that there's lots of opportunity in our school system as well,
Okay.
because of them teaching world religions.
Okay.
It'd be really worthwhile.
We do that in Calgary. We partnered up with the Catholic School District.
Yes,
So
yes.
they also come to our mosque for tours,
Yep.
part of their world religions classes that they learn. So that's something we'd love to also try to initiate in Strathmore. And I'm hoping I see all of you in the future again at some of our programs, and hopefully we could get to know each other better and introduce many of you to members of our community in Calgary. Before I leave, though, we have a small, just as as a token of our appreciation for us being here. So we had some. Did we have?
And Chester Mahmood. I was Strathmore's Information Department and Public Relation Department in Northeast.
Did you guys have the bags?
Yes.
We got these?
Before you do the presentation, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. You had indicated in here that you invited us to a tour, and had you set a date, or did you want us to get together to see what we could
You
arrange?
tell us when and which day is easiest for you, and we will arrange that. I mean, we'd be more than honored to have you come, and dinner or lunch is on us. And hopefully it could be a little spicy, but hopefully you guys enjoy. But we usually have a lot of fun. We've had many police officers come. They partnered up with us also to part of some of their programs for diversity and learn about different cultures and religions. And we'd love to have people from Strathmore come out. So you let us know. And yeah, if you could please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much for coming and making this presentation to us.
Okay.
Having knowledge and understanding of all of the different communities makes us all that much stronger. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I have one more question, please.
Sure.
May I ask you one more question? Do you have your own school in Calgary?
We actually, me and him are actually missionaries for our community.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have a 7-year course that we do, but that school's in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
So we're basically like devotees.
Yeah.
I've been posted in Calgary for now,
Oh, okay.
and then we can be posted anywhere in the world.
I see.
So just recently I was in Sierra Leone.
I see.
Over there. God knows how long I'm going to be
Thank you. Thank you.
Best.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are no bylaws and no old business to be brought forward. New business items 8.1, interim amending agreement for potable water, and administration will be making a presentation.
Thank you, Jesse.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Our interim agreement has expired as of June of last year. We've been working with the City of Calgary to establish a new master servicing agreement with, along with the other partners, regional partners from Chestermere, Cochrane, and Airdrie as well. That's taken some time. In the interim, City of Calgary has also started their their cost of servicing study, which sets some of the rates going forward for water and sewer. And this is their first time doing that in a number of years. So that's somewhat delayed some of our master servicing agreement discussions, just in anticipation of some changes to, I guess, some of the details with the cost of servicing study being performed. So the city has asked if the towns and the regional partners would be amenable to extending our current interim agreement as it sits, basically to the end of 2014, I believe, is the current date. In here on our agenda item, I apologize, I didn't complete a sentence. I'm expecting the cost of service study to be completed in 2015, but I missed that on the agenda, so we're expecting that to be completed in 2015. So no changes to any of the terms within our existing interim agreement, just an extension in essence to the end of 2014.
To the end of 14.
14, correct. So there isn't a date for the cost of servicing to be completed yet, so they're kind of treating it as a year-to-year thing. There's some hope that we may be able to establish the master servicing agreement in 14, independent of the cost of service study.
Okay, that was going to be my question. Thank you.
So we're just, I guess, an extension to the end of the year. And if that then needs to also be extended, it's expected that the terms wouldn't change. It would be the same basic extension of the interim agreement.
Okay. Any other questions? One question that I would, just for future consideration, are we thinking that the cost in regards to the water is going to go up dramatically, that we would have to reduce the budget to?
As a result of the cost of service study?
Yeah.
Not sure yet. Until we get into the details of what's there, we're just being, our first meeting is Friday to get some detail on the cost of service study analysis. So at this point, we don't have any visibility of major change, but as they get into it, we'll get a better understanding of that.
I guess what I'm concerned in regards to whether or not we get a shock in regards to the increase in the cost of the water.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Some of the intention of the cost of service study is to also help with some of the growth charges information as well, so that the cost of growth comes out of the rates and helps to keep those rates stable and more so, I guess, looking at infrastructure replacement, not necessarily for growth, but for age and some of those details, which should help to keep costs a little more stable, where the growth is paid for by growth rather than the existing customer base.
any further questions? We have a recommendation.
I'd move that council approve the interim amending agreement to the potable water servicing agreement with the City of Calgary, excuse me, and the Town of Chestermere, and that the mayor and CAO are authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the town.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Family Center Policy 8.2, page 15.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. So as you may know, we are going through some of our policies and updating the ones that haven't been looked at for a while. So the first policy is Policy 7201, which is for the Family Center. We've mostly just done some language updates. A lot of the language was outdated. Positions have changed. The way we organizational structure has changed. So all of that has been updated. The biggest change to this policy is the schedule for out-of-town user fees. The current system is really ineffective because of the way the Family Center works, and that it's a user group based system where an association is our user and then they have members. And for billing our out-of-town users, we were then having to go to each individual family, which was very time consuming for our staff since we don't interact with them, and most of our dealings go through the association. So what we've proposed in the changes here is that we would only go through the associations. So they would be required to provide a list of their users. We would determine how many of them are out-of-town users, and then that user fee will be billed to the association, who is then responsible for paying that. If that makes sense. If not, I can try and explain it a different way. The only other change was we changed our prime time hours, and it's just to reflect how the facility is being used. We're seeing more later bookings as we grow as a community. We're at about a 96% capacity in our Family Center. There's very little downtime on our ice in the winter, and so we're trying to accommodate that in our scheduling. The other big change, I guess, would be that in the fee structure has been taken out of the policy because it's been put into a collective bylaw, which you've already seen. So.
Yes.
One of the things I wanted to mention, I believe the Bisons already follow this policy, where we bill the Bisons, they collect the funds and give them to us. So there's some groups already doing what Tracy's proposing.
Yeah, the Bisons are very cooperative. They're very easy to work with.
That's just a simpler process.
Councillor Sokol, did you have?
Yeah, Tracy, could you just explain the priority scheduling being removed?
It was very complicated. I don't know if you remember seeing it in the old policy, but it was it was very complicated, and we weren't following it. How our priority works is pretty much set. What user groups get, they get every year. It doesn't change much, mostly because we don't have the space to change. But also, we've just simplified it. Youth get priority, then local groups, then adults, school groups during the day. It's just much simpler. We just simplified it.
So it's not been removed, it's just been changed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. That's
There was like
because
12
I see
step priority, and it was
711 is there with, that would be the new policy.
yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor Peterson, you have a question?
Yeah, well, I have some comments and that may lead to questions. Under discussion on the first page of the agenda item, there's just a spelling error in the second paragraph, second sentence, which may confuse some people. It says roaster instead of roster. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been pointed out to me already.
And then on Schedule A for out-of-town users, it's no surprise my feelings on that matter. And when I look at this, while it may have simplified things for town employees, and I certainly see that it has, I do understand that it has caused some consternation among local associations. So that is a question, yeah.
Some user groups are very cooperative. They work with us to make the user fee work, and some are less cooperative, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And each have their different opinions on why we should have it, why we shouldn't have it, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And so in doing that, in Schedule A, have there been any discussion with those organizations with regards to Alberta's new FOIP laws? And has the town investigated that thoroughly to make sure that we're not in violation?
As far as I'm concerned, I've been told we're not,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll confirm that. We do have a meeting in the books for next week to go over this with our user groups, to talk through it with them, so they understand that it does fall within those guidelines. Yes.
Nothing further? May I have a motion then, please?
I would move that council accept the report for information pending the meeting with the user groups regarding issues around FOIP, because I do know that there are concerns. So I don't mind if this comes back again, but...
In regards to the FOIP, could we invite our FOIP specialist to make comment on that?
Yes. So the way we're doing things now before the policy, there could be a FOIP concern with how we do things because we're requesting information, personal information on the members of the clubs. Doing it this way that is proposed now, we don't need that information. We just need to know how many members live out of town and how many members live in town. So going with the new policy, it's better FOIP-wise, I guess. Does that help?
That's my understanding, yes.
So did you want to keep your motion on the floor?
Well, I just think that it would be respectful to do that, just in terms of if they're not meeting till next week.
And the reason for that was we were holding off on our meeting so that we could say yay or nay if this was going in with them, but we can do it the other way around if we would like to bring it to them for discussion before we get it approved.
Because my understanding is that there were some concerns from some of those associations, quite serious concerns.
Because we were requesting personal information, but if
So,
you change...
I misunderstood, because when you were here before, you said that they were concerned about the new proposed schedule. Right? When we talked about this previously, there was mention that the local associations were concerned about this process.
No, we haven't brought this process up with our
So
user
they don't
groups
know.
because we didn't know if it was
Okay.
going to be approved or not. Yeah.
Then yes, I withdraw.
Motion's been withdrawn. May I have another motion on the floor, please?
Your worship, I would move that council adopt policy 7201, family center policy as presented.
Discussion? Seeing none, I call for a vote, please. All in favor? Negative?
Opposed
Opposed?
and recorded?
Carried.
And recorded, thank you, Your Worship.
Recorded too, please. Next policy that we're reviewing is the Civic Center Policy 8.3, page 31.
So same reason, we just cleaned up some of the language. This policy didn't change the structure of it, and none of the important parts. It was mostly just the language, and the organizational structure was adjusted to reflect the policy. There is one mistake that I'll point out, and I'll get adjusted in page 39, one of the pages of one of our contracts. Schedule A of our Civic Center rental contract, number 7 on page 39. It says cleaning charge. It's not a cleaning charge, it's a takedown charge. And it has been adjusted in our contracts that we use, so I just missed it.
Do you have any questions? May I have a motion then, please?
I would move to accept the
Policy 72.
policy, yes.
Civic Center Policy as presented. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And next we have Downtown Design Review Committee. Page. Administration will be making that presentation.
Your Worship, at the November 27th council meeting, council passed the terms or bylaw 1319 for the Downtown Design Review Committee. Number of applications have come in from around town for members to sit on the committee. Administration has reviewed those applications and is now recommending that council appoint members to the committee. On page 47, it has a list of members, council members, staff members, collective membership, and members at large. And administration is recommending that council approve the list of members.
Questions?
I would move that council approve the list of members of the Downtown Design Review Committee and thank them for their willingness to sit on the committee and express the gratefulness of the town.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Oh, pardon me, hold on one second.
Just wanted to mention one thing. Normally, council don't appoint my staff to anything. So, normally they would appoint council and the public and all, and I would appoint my staff.
Thank you. That's a good distinction. Yes. So we'll leave the appointment of staff to our CAO.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that would mean that Councillor Sobel and Walls and collective membership Sharon Sungard, members at large Talissa Tebbett, Glenn Freeland, and Robert Brightweiser.
That's the motion on the floor now.
It is so.
The other one was withdrawn. Any discussion on it? All in favor? And carried. Names Advisory Committee.
Your Worship, we've also had applications from members of the public to sit on the Names Advisory Committee membership, Names Advisory Committee. Miss Margie Lavoie, Mr. Earl Best, and Miss Yvonne Shaw have all applied to be on the committee, and administration is recommending the appointment of the 3 to the committee.
Any questions?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the Jen, how many members are on this, or how many names are on this, member names, I guess, how many are on this committee?
5.
5.
I'd move that council approve the list of members for the Names Advisory Committee.
Discussion, Councilor Summer.
Actually, it's just a comment, and it's probably, I'm probably not at the right time for this comment, but just for future use, I'm still confused as to why, with a town, bearing in mind that the idea of a names committee is to ensure that the rules and regulations and the laws, so to speak, of the town are met, it confuses me as to why we have two councillors on this, as well as a member of the administration, when the administration member is basically tasked with ensuring that all the rules and regulations are covered. I stand to be corrected on this, and sometime in the future, I'd like to have a discussion on this, but it just, I don't know why we have two councillors on this committee. Anyway. Yep. If you don't mind, yeah.
Sure.
I'd love to learn why.
I'm not going to give a reason why, but I just want to say that we're going to be discussing that at the next CEO meeting in our policy.
Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor then?
I noticed, Your Worship, in the discussion section, it said that they're for consideration by council to serve a 1 or a 2 year term, but that term is not noted beside the names of the people.
No, it's not.
Make it 1.
I would suggest making it a 1 year term.
So we would amend the motion to that effect?
To a 1 year term. Council list the members, Margaret LeBoy, Earl Best, and Vaughn Shaw, for a 1 year term to the Names Advisory Committee. Is that what you want?
Councillor Rempel?
Councilor Rempel?
Yeah, so moved.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. SDAB.
So last but not least, the Subdivision Development Appeal Board. We also received applications for members for the public to sit on the board. There are a minimum of 7 members that need to sit on the board. It's a quasi-judicial board that only meets when needed. So the recommendation, I guess, is to appoint Debbie Enslin, Ian Anderson, Randy Tiller, Beth McDonald, Jason Montgomery, Alan Auger, Kevin Gibbons, and Haley Poirier, I believe, to the SDAB.
Questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
My question, Your Worship, through to administration, is there a process by which people who apply to this committee, a standard that they have to meet with regards to conflict of interest and other issues around that? And I don't know these people, so I'm not suggesting that any such thing existed, but just because it is a development appeal board, I'm wondering.
I'm not certain. I know that we do have an SDAB policy.
Yeah, I've read your policy, or our policy.
I'm not certain. I would have to bring that back.
It would just be interesting to know what the threshold is. Interesting. To come to CEO. I have no further questions, Your Worship.
Thank you. In regards to the conflict of interest that Deputy Mayor Peterson brought up.
Well, it may not just, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
Your Worship, it may not just be a conflict of interest. It may be, it's more of a threshold issue.
Okay. And now, the motion's on the floor. I'll just ask administration to review that question and bring it to a CAO meeting for us in the future so we understand it better. All right. We have the motion on the floor. No further discussion?
Yeah, actually, oh, do we have a motion?
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a motion on the floor.
I don't remember
No,
anything
No,
saying that.
there's no motion. No, pardon me.
I will
There's
move
no
that
motion on the
council
floor.
approve the list of members for the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board, complete with the terms as listed in bylaw 10-23.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. 8.7 is memorandum of understanding between the town and the RCMP.
Your Worship, on this particular one, I had my staff compare it to the old one compared to the brand new one to see what differences there was. And really the only big difference, we even had Teresa, our senior peace officer with us, We reviewed it, and I guess the only item was when they need to get information on license plates and all. And on that, we used to get it from the RCMP. We can't get it anymore from the RCMP. So for the last while, we've been getting it through the sheriffs. And we had an agreement with the sheriffs. They expired the end of October, and they're still doing it for us. And it's not just for the town, it's for all the towns through the sheriff's department. So that was the only change, or bigger change in between the two. So we were satisfied with this.
Questions? May I have a motion then, please?
Sure. I move that council approve the memorandum of understanding for authorization to employ peace officers between the town of Strathmore and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Strathmore Detachment, and the mayor and CA will be authorized to sign the memorandum on behalf of the town.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. No items from administration. No committee or departmental reports tonight. Any questions between councils and administration? Yes, Councillor Sobel.
Yes, Your Worship. Question to administration pertains to the existence of water wells at private residences and businesses in Strathmore. This is an issue that's been discussed previously, and my questions, actually I have three initial questions to administration. One, are there still residences or businesses that use private water wells for their water supply that have access to our town water's infrastructure? Two, are there residences paying any, are these residences, if there are these residences and businesses paying any cost towards the water line that supplies water to Strathmore or the noted infrastructure? And three, what are the regulations in place that deals with private water wells in town, and specifically those that have access to our water supply?
Okay, first of all, I'll sort of round it off. Like Councillor Sobel mentioned, ones where there's no water or sewer available, such as all of the area that we annexed, there's no water and sewer out there. So of course they can keep their septic fields and their tanks and so on. Also, down in the industrial area, in the far east part, there's an area where there's no water and sewer. So, well, they have water, pardon me, but for sewer, they have holding tanks and they have them pumped out. And I have no problems with that because there's no sewer there. Some of the businesses, there's not many on wells. There's one that we've worked on for quite a while, and it's been off and on that particular one. Yes, another one that doesn't have water and sewer would be north of the golf course. There's a little acreage there. I can't remember, 5 acres or whatever, and there's no water and sewer there, so I don't expect them to hook up. There are some, though, on 1, 2, 3, 4 on Center Street, one on Fifth Avenue, one on Waddy Lane. So there's a few in the downtown or on Center Street in some of the older areas. And we're not sure if there's even the hookups for, okay, the water and sewer would be in Center Street or available there. But I'm not sure it was ever taken to some of those properties. And we could do some more checking into that. Down on Fifth Avenue and Waddy Lane, if they have to take it in from the street and dig up the asphalt and take it into their house, the cost could run like $10,000. And we're not sure. We're going way back, well, years ago. I don't know why it wasn't put in at that time to each of those, but for some reason it wasn't. And then when the car washes, for example, we have a meter installed and everything's good on that last car wash one. So really, other than a few of the old residences that I mentioned, and then one other business, that's about it. The rest have been corrected.
So, for instance, the business, it has our water hookup to it, does it not?
The business with the problem, yes. They have water hooked up right inside their building, but they use a well to save money.
Okay, and what is our policy in regards to that?
The town policy is everybody where there's water and sewer available have to hook up and have to use it. If it's water, they have to have a water meter.
And when you're saying when there's water available, you're saying there's a pipe going to the residence or business. Is that what you're saying?
No, if it's available on the
In front.
street, right there close, they're responsible to have water and sewer. The business that I'm talking about where there's been the problem, they have it right inside the building. They can turn valves. You can use well water. You can use town water.
So none of these locations are paying anything towards the water infrastructure.
I'll have to verify, but I don't think the majority do.
Okay, it just seems it's a concern of mine that the residences who do have it are actually paying for the infrastructure for it's not being divided equally. In other words, it's some people are not paying their share of the infrastructure costs when that was the agreement at the beginning.
Yes, that's correct. And if they won't go off of the well, about the only thing you can do, we checked a few years ago, and we'd hire somebody to come in, put concrete in the well so that they cannot use it.
Anything else? Any question?
Councillor Rumpel?
Two questions, George. The business that has the option of using town water or well water, they would have a meter installed in their facility, is that correct?
Yes.
So if they have a meter, they would also be paying at least be paying the basic charge, water charge.
You're probably right. I never asked on that.
Okay.
But that'd just be the basic. But they do use a lot of
Yes,
water.
I understand. Second question, excuse me. Would some of these residents that are still using their well water, would that have been grandfathered at the time when they put in the regular sewer and water services in those areas?
I've been told it wasn't, but I wasn't here at that time, of course. It's going way back.
Yes, I understand that. Now, if they were grandfathered in, is there anything that we could do to change that?
First of all, I'd have to check to see in the old records if they were ever grandfathered, and then I would have to check, see if some can be done.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Peterson?
Thank you, Your Worship. So you said that it could be a cost of up to $10,000 for them to establish water system in their homes?
It really depends on where it's at. If the water is close to their place and it's not under the asphalt, it wouldn't be as expensive. But anytime you dig up the asphalt, if you have to go right into the street, it's very expensive to dig it up and to replace the asphalt.
So in Councillor Rempel's question about grandfathering, then if there was a time, I think specifically about Waddy Lane and Fifth Avenue, the older areas. So very well might have been an option in that time for people to have their own wells. That would be reasonable to assume.
It's possible, but for some reason, our bylaw has always stated, as long as I remember, that people did not have a choice. They have to be tied in to town water and sewer.
So is there, is it a plausible option, I ask, then, that residences, community residences, could at least be assessed that base fee, understanding Councillor Sobel's legitimate concern, that those 6 people, 6 homes, be assessed a base fee to level the playing field?
Flat fee.
Flat fee. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Buckland?
Thank you, Your Worship. Dwight, I'm more concerned about the safety factor here. If you follow the news, we just had in Arizona there a couple of weeks back. That was pretty ugly what happened there, and I'm a little concerned about a well on Waddy Lane and a well on Fifth Avenue and half a dozen on Center Street. I think we have to get tougher on this and mandate that we get rid of these things and they get hooked up to the town water system. If there's going to be a cost involved, I think $10,000 per residence might be pretty cheap rather than try and fish some person out of there if things get drastic.
Councillor Sobel?
Just further to, thank you for bringing that up. That was going to be a point I was just going to bring up, and not only in regards to the location, but I'm talking about the consumption of the water product. And I appreciate that in normal circumstances, all residences would be responsible for their own water testing and the safety of their water supply. But, and this is where I get concerned, is if they're in violation of a bylaw and we're aware that they're in violation of a bylaw, I'm wondering whether or not we would incur some civil liability by not taking action should an issue come up with the water quality.
Possibly we'd have to check into it, but the one business in particular where there's lots of people there is even a bigger risk to me.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer, especially if it's a business that deals with the public. I think we're under a real strong requirement to do something myself.
I have a question. Is there a penalty in that bylaw if they are not connected to the town water supply? If you don't have the bylaw in front of you right now.
I don't have it in front of me,
Okay.
unless my staff know. Jesse, do you know?
We may have to review the bylaw.
Yeah.
There's a general penalty, not more than $10,000.
But that particular, when they use that figure, that can be from anything up to 10,000. Normally, all the ones have gone to court, I remember, or the judges, it's usually pretty low. And I guess the other comment that Councillor Blockland mentioned about a well, we're just talking a well that's maybe 8 inches in diameter, 6 or 8 inches.
It can still happen.
And some of them are inside the homes at the opening, right? I understand.
Most of the ones that I know of are like in their backyard or whatever.
Could I request that administration come back to council in the future with some additional information on this?
Yes, by all means. Deputy Mayor Peterson.
I'm not speaking to the motion, is that okay?
There's no motion on the floor.
Oh, I thought that
These
was
are
a
just
motion.
questions.
I thought-
Oh, is that a motion?
Sure, yes.
Okay. Okay, he's not. Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor
Just,
Peterson.
when we were, the last meeting that we attended, many of the councillors attended a meeting at the County of Wheatland, and they have a similar problem in many of their communities that are under their purview. And they've taken a bit of a different tack in doing that, and they had, if I remember correctly, There was funding designated to that specific purpose. I'm not sure of the source. But their concerns were the same as those that have been brought forward here, but their tack was a lot different. They were just looking at a remedial solution to fix the problem and move forward. So there were lots of people in the outlying towns that had wells, and they were coming in and replacing them, and they were doing it at their cost. It wasn't a cost to the users. So it's something it would maybe worthwhile to explore to see what they're doing.
With due respect, I think we have to find out whether these people are actually in violation of our bylaw first, which I think makes a big difference. If they have been grandfathered, then certainly I think that changes the whole issue. But if they haven't been grandfathered, then I think there's more of a sense of responsibility on them.
And that is part of it, but there also may be a sensibility to this province-wide, and there may be solutions outside of the ones that we understand, and we may get to the same end without causing undue hardship.
Councilor Rep.
Yeah, another question through the chair. If in fact they haven't been grandfathered and they have continued to use their own source of water, and it's our bylaw that they have to hook into the municipal water and sewer lines, who in fact becomes responsible for the hookup? The developer is gone. As it then becomes the town's responsibility to ensure that they are hooked into the town water and sewer systems. Well, they would be in the sewer system, probably, the residents, just not water. Is that?
I personally would assume that the people would be responsible if they didn't do it in the beginning.
Why would they be responsible?
Because they could have hooked up when the home was built. It could have been previous owners.
Some of these people that are presently occupying these homes were probably not the builders of these homes.
Right.
So why would it all of a sudden become their responsibility to?
Because they purchased the home, I guess.
But the town hasn't charged anybody else to provide this service.
But we've been losing revenue too.
And yes, but that's not their fault.
Councilor Rempel, in regards to that, I would suggest you have a buyer beware situation.
I'm sorry?
We may have a buyer beware situation if the property was sold and there's a new purchaser in there. They have a responsibility as a purchaser to make sure all of the rules and regulations are followed when they bought that property.
Yes, but what I'm saying is even though they were in there and they were the people that originally built these homes and had the opportunity to opt out, why would they now all of a sudden be forced to pay so the town can make some revenue from?
Well, it's more than just the revenue situation. There's also the health issue and the safety issue. And what I think we need to do before we make assumptions is to gather some more information and understand the situation a lot better.
Yes.
That would be my recommendation.
Agreed.
Okay. And I forget what the motion was now.
The motion,
repeat it right after.
the motion was to send it forward to administration for further investigation. But Councillor Sobel, just a friendly amendment, I would ask specifically that the request for information entail health and safety concerns, bylaw compliance, historical context where possible, and finally then to present council with options for action, for future action.
Just checking to see if our recorder has that great amendment, which I certainly accept as a friendly amendment.
I'm sorry, Councillor Payson, can you repeat?
Yes. Requesting information specific to, one, health and safety, bylaw compliance, and the historical context where it's possible to gather, and finally, to present council with potential options for action.
Further discussion?
I'm just wondering if we should have, I don't think it's necessary to put a date on this. Council or administration will bring that to council when the information's available. Thank you.
All in favor? Carried. Any other discussion between council, administration? Seeing none, we'll move on. No council invitations. There is no in camera this evening, as I understand.
One invitation.
Ah.
I just want to, I think you've all been aware of it, but just to remind you that on Monday, January 27th, we're doing just a little ceremony at the Aquatic Center to honor the Lions who have been donating to the pool since it opened. And last year they donated over $80,000 for equipment and free swimming. So it'd be great if you could attend.
6 o'clock
6 o'clock.
at the Aquatic Center.
Yes.
No other invitations? Seeing as our agenda is complete, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Carried. Actually, when you covered it all, you don't have